Good November morning. In honor of my father's, what would have been, or yes, my father's 110th birthday. He was born on November 11th, 1911. In honor of my dear dad's birthday and in keeping with our Scorpio theme, I'm going to continue uh, the very, very little short excerpt from my book, Low Magic. It's all in your head. You just have no idea how big your head is. Concerning my father, and in a chapter I call Family Secrets. And yesterday, uh, and this is the section concerning my dad, Clifford E. DuQuette. Well, he's dead, but he also lives in the same wonderful Scorpio uh, part of my heart. But anyway, we talked about his mother's mother being such a terribly wicked person, and the fact that when my mother was first introduced to my father's mother, her new mother-in-law, uh, uh, Grandma DuQuette was laying on her deathbed and urged her not to have children because of, I guess, a family curse because of the wickedness of her own mother. Uh, and it was kind of a scary thing, and it's not something I'm bragging about or anything, uh, but the chapter goes on, and in a very wonderful and more positive way. So I'm going to pick it up where I left yesterday. For all appearances, this curse, the curse of my great grandmother, skipped my father. In fact, my father was blessed with a most kind and noble character. It was obvious he stayed married to Mom for the welfare and safety of Mark, my brother Mark, of Mark and me. His spirituality was centered upon a simple belief in a generic supreme being. After all, he was a Freemason. Now, I've got a footnote here. In most countries, Freemasons must profess a supreme belief in a supreme being. And on many occasions, especially when I was announcing my own atheism in my teenage years to my dad, and my dad treated the universe and the world and life in general as if he were an atheist too. But I proudly wore my atheism on my sleeve, and he wouldn't. And I'd continually, I wanted validation from him. I said, "But you're an atheist, Dad. Admit it." And he says, "No, I'm not. I can't be an atheist. I'm a Freemason." And so I had to settle for that. Okay. Uh, his spirituality was centered upon the simple belief that in the generic belief in a generic supreme being. After all, he was a Freemason. And he believed in the fundamental goodness of human beings. Now, that's kind of an important thing. And I've got a footnote on that. Freemasons are also taught that a fund of science and industry is implanted in man for the best, most salutary, and most beneficent purposes. Now, I don't know if you care to be enmeshed in the doctrines of Christianity, or should I say Pollyanity, but that flies in the face of the doctrine of original sin and of the total depravity of man. Yes, that's the name of the doctrine, the total depravity of man, which were inventions by St. Paul, or Paul. And Masons seem to very casually dismiss that and more or less say that no, a fund of science and industry is implanted in man for the best, most salutary. We're born that way. That's our natural state. It's implanted in us. Okay. He believed in the fundamental goodness of human beings. He took the time to instill in his sons a confidence that we could do anything we put our minds to. He taught us the magic of dreams and imagination, and that it was possible to work to make our dreams come true. Like a good Scorpio Freemason, he taught us by means of magical secrets. So now, after you've patiently endured my ponderous Freudian excursions into my mother's sorcery, I finally come to the true family secrets, the title of this chapter originally promised you. Dad's library contained a number of Masonic books, many illustrated with exotic mystic symbols. When my brother and I asked what they meant, he would only tease, "It's a secret. If you want, when you grow up, you can try to join the Masons and find out." He gently instilled in me an awe and respect for secret knowledge. So when I was faced with normal problems of growing up, I could go to Dad, and he would give me a magic secret to deal with them. And he called them that. "I'm going to give you a secret." These were secrets I was not to share with anyone else. Not Mom, not my brother, no one. It's been many years since Dad passed away. He passed away in 1973. And he was only 61 years old. I don't think he'd mind if I'd share a couple of the magical secrets that have helped me throughout the years. So I'm going to tell Dad's secrets. The first secret was not a secret per se. It was a commandment, a prime directive. Your name is magic. Never change your name or the spelling of your name. Those are all quotes from Dad. I don't know why he named me Lon Milo. But one of my earliest memories of Dad was his insistence that he chose my name very carefully and that it was a magic name, and that I was never to change it, never to change the spelling or the capitalization. You'll notice I capitalized the Q, as my father insisted we do. I continue to obey this prime directive. Second secret to falling asleep at night. The secret to falling asleep at night was the first bona fide secret Dad taught me. It was a two-part secret. Very simple, but I could tell no one how I did it. First, I was to say my prayers. Now, Masons don't blow their nose without first saying a prayer. Okay. To whoever. Okay. Now, Dad was practically an agnostic, and God to him was a generic cosmic abstraction. He did not encourage me to embrace Jesus or the Old Testament Jehovah, or indeed any other supreme good, whatever, supreme good, whatever it is. Excuse me. He did not encourage me to embrace Jesus, the Old Testament Jehovah, or indeed anything other than the supreme good, whatever it is. Glad I got that straight. Nevertheless, it was important that before I go to sleep, I should acknowledge the deity and thank it for blessing my life and ask for its continued protection, guidance, and blessing upon everything. Everything I do. He said the best prayer was the one that just came out of me. But if I couldn't make up a prayer of my own, the Lord's Prayer would work until I got the hang of it. After saying my prayer, I was to make up an imaginary adventure with me as the main character. An adventure about anything that pleased me. The more fanciful, the better. There was only one rule to this part of the secret. Each night's adventure must include me doing at least one thing that was impossible to do in real life. I had to think of a new impossible act every night. I didn't know why, but I instinctively knew that this was one of the coolest things in the world you could encourage a kid to do. The next was the secret to stopping nightmares. It was perhaps the most overtly magical of Dad's secrets. Like most kids, I had my share of childhood nightmares. One night when I was about 7 years old, I woke up screaming and crying. It seemed a monster had just eaten my brother Mark, and that it had hold of my own foot. Without turning on the light, Dad came into my room and sat on the bed. He told me everything was okay and that everybody had bad dreams now and again. He encouraged me to lie back down, but I refused to put my head on the same spot of the pillow where the bad dream had come from. He then said the most curious thing. He says, "No, you want to go back into the dream and make the monster go away." He then told me that whenever I'm uncomfortable in a dream, I had only to pronounce my own name backwards. Null. And the monster or the problem would disappear. I trusted Dad, so I put my head back on the nightmare pillow and tried to recreate the dreaded moment. Sure enough, I was back in the dream with my foot in the monster's mouth. And I spoke the magic word, "Null." The monster opened its mouth in fear, and it dissolved into thin air. I was very impressed. I would use this secret countless times. Furthermore, once I learned I could take control of my dreams, I learned I could go places in dreams and even live out some of those impossible feats of wonder. This is a skill that is very important to the magician. And finally, the most practical. The secret of learning. It was just a simple affirmation that I was to say under my breath as I walked to school each morning. Quote, the secret of learning is to do the best I can at all times and always do a little bit better than I think I can. That's it. I wish I could say this made me a model student, but I cannot. I will say, however, that I can't begin to imagine how terribly bad a student I could have been without this bit of morning encouragement. I can't escape the fact that both my parents were major factors in the equation that produced the magician Lon Milo DuQuette. As Constance and I raised our son Jean-Paul, I was very mindful of the object lessons I learned from my own parents, strengths and weaknesses. Our unique family secrets we've passed along to him, and he now shares in his own way with his own son. And so it goes. How are things in your family? And that's our Saturday reading. Again, the reading is from truly one of my favorite titles, Low Magic. It's all in your head. You just have no idea how big your head is. In a way, this is My Life of the Spirits Part 2. And Part 3, we could say Part 3 of My Life of the Spirits is Homemade Magic, which I've been teasing you is shortly coming out in a new enlarged edition. But I'll keep you posted when I know more about that. We've got a wonderful new publisher. Okay, Saturday morning's over. Svengoolie is tonight with a Munster one. I think I'll give it a pass probably. But anyway, it feels like Saturday. Continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love's the law, love under will.